Hey guys, so I'm going to record the first part of the invasion of by the magic empire of light of the sixth continent. So there are seven continents in this world, and so is there are seven continents in the world that I created. The empire lived on one of them, and then it united from a bunch of kingdoms into one kingdom by the emperor. It was mainly magicless. There was no magic, and then this emperor had magic. He had dark magic and black magic, and he was very strong. And he united the non-magic users. Well, there was a hierarchy to begin with. There was a hierarchy. There was a bunch of kingdoms, and there was in each kingdom there was magic users and non-magic users, mainly non-magic users. But magic users would be the royals and things like that. They would rule over the non-magic users and abuse their power over them. So when the emperor came, he freed so many non-magic users, and he helped them create technology like automatic weapons and move on from swords and shields. He helped, and other magic users who joined the emperor helped to create flying spaceships and just very technologically advanced empire. They united all the kingdoms of the and basically wiped out most of the magic users on the continent, the first continent. I haven't given the name to the continent. Let's give it a name. The name of the original continent of the empire is going to be, I'm not sure. We could call it, I'll think about it. I don't know. But the empire united there, and then its soldiers mainly were non-magic users. It had some magic users that were like captains and stuff that followed the emperor. I am cold right now, that's why I'm a little bit shaking. It's the morning right now, so but yeah, so that's how the empire began. Bunch of kingdoms were fighting each other and stuff, and they were controlled by the magic users. But then I don't know, this emperor came and he told the magic users to free that the non-magic users are just as equal and just as important as magic users, and the magic users didn't listen to him, and they wiped out a lot of non-magic users. So the emperor came in and wiped out all the magic users who did that, and united the rest of the non-magic users' kingdoms to create one empire on one whole continent. Then, once he did that, they started with the emperor and other, and his magic users started to advance in technology and create flying spaceships and guns, automatic guns. And then they went and invaded second continent, which was also divided by same type of a thing, different kingdoms with mainly 90% non-magic users that was controlled by 10% magic users. And they wiped out the magic users and took the 90% of non-magic users and back into the empire, and they kept going like this. They had ups and downs, and then they created angels. They created angels after they conquered their third continent. And it was mainly just normal non-magic users, mainly 90% to 95% kingdoms of non-magic users controlled by 10 to 5% of magic users. They kept conquering, and it's more complicated than that. I could go into detail later on if you guys want, but continent by continent, kingdom by kingdom, each kingdom, how it worked, when did they create the spaceships, when did they create the angels, when did they create the automatic weapons, who were the emperor's closest magic users who started with him. What were their names? What were their powers? All these things I can go into later on if you want me to. I'm just doing a general overview so that we could catch up to our story currently. So the general overview, after they conquered the third continent, the empire knew of 4 continents, and they conquered the third one. They find out there's a 5th continent from the maps, and the third one, that's when they also created the angels, very powerful mechanical, like tanks, walking tanks, like fantasy walking tanks. Not, you know, they don't have turrets and stuff. They like huge robots, kind of, with wings and magic powers, and they can shoot this really strong, kind of like a black hole, but it's not a black hole, but it's white and red. It's mainly 60% white, 40% red ball of energy, and they shoot it from a gun or its arm. I haven't decided exactly where. No, if they shoot it from their arms, it's an energy. It's made of energy. It's magic. So they create it. The angels would put their arm, the huge arm, like their arm is like 2 people, 2 soldiers of a magic empire. That's how big their arms are. They have like big metallic wings and stuff. But they would put their hand out. It takes 2 hands. And no, it takes 1 hand. Changed my mind. It takes 1 hand, and they put their hand out, and this huge ball, 60% white magic and 40% red magic, just comes out of just nothing, because they hold their hand and they use their magic, and out of thin air this huge ball comes out, and it gets pretty big. It gets like as big as 4 people in mass, 4 normal soldiers of the magic empire. That's how big it is in mass, and that's how big it gets. And then if they shoot it, it's like a tiny, very small black hole, except it's not black. It's more of red and white hole. And it basically, when it goes, whatever it lands, it just sucks. I had decided on radius. I'm thinking 10 mile radius. That would be too big. I'm thinking 10-mile radius. It would suck about 10-mile radius, everything into it, and then just condense it into atoms, like matter, mainly living matter. It's meant for mainly living matter and magic users. They can shoot two different types. One to only hurt magic users, and it would not hurt. Obviously, it would hurt non-magic users by like pulling into them, and that might break a few bones, but it won't kill them. It won't, but it will like take magic away from magic users and make them non-magic users. Or they could shoot one that kills everything, all the life, and so it shoots it and all the life. Basically, animals. It doesn't do to plants or to the immediate plants, like the few 10 feet. It'll suck the plants and turn them to atoms, but it only pulls life, living things, and yeah. And so that's the angels. That's just a quick description. They can do many more things. Obviously, they can fly. They have shields, barrier shields. They can do a lot of things. Very powerful things, beings. And 1 second. So after they conquered, after the Empire of Light, the Empire of Light was not called the Empire of Light yet. It was called People's Empire. It was called People's Empire. It became Empire of Light after they conquered the third continent, and then went to the 4th continent, and it was given by the kingdoms. The kingdoms on the 4th continent saw the angels just flying from the spaceships. They just jump off from a ledge. There's like ledges, and these angels stand on there, in a certain position, and then when it's the right time, they just fall, and then they open their wings up and just, it looks like falling angels. They just fall straight down because the spaceships are so high. They're so high, and then the angels fall, and they just face first fall, and they just fall, and then they open their wings, and just, there's like hundreds of them. So it looks really cool, and they go in formations and stuff. And after they got angels, the conquest became very easy. Angels just destroyed armies. They destroyed magic users, anybody in their way. And that's when the empire of people, their enemies give them, well, their enemies who were conquered after that and became soldiers of the empire started to call, they started to say, like, on the street and stuff, in the cities and stuff, they like, it's more of an empire of light, because they do bring order to chaos. All these kingdoms and stuff had different rules, different rulers, and they had, you can do this but not that, and they fought with each other a lot. The people were very poor who were non-magic users, very poor, like peasants. Now with the magic empire conquering all of them, it's like more of a, not democracy, but it's more like in America now, where people have way better living. Everybody in the empire follows the same rules, and do not kill, do not steal, all of that good stuff. There's schools for the kids, free schools, free education. All the peasants who used to be peasants now learning how to read and write, and they're learning the technologies, how to work on spaceships. That gives more jobs. They're learning how to make automatic guns, and armor. By the time the empire conquered, but when the empire united the first continent, they only had some more armor. By the time they conquered second continent, they had like 60% armor. By the time they conquered the third continent, they had 85% armor on their body. On each soldier had 85% armor, like covered with armor. It's a certain type of steel and stuff, and I can maybe later on I can maybe draw a soldier and what it looks like, what a normal Empire Light soldier looks like. By the time they conquered the fourth continent, it was 98% the soldiers covered armor, so you could be, withstand normal arrows. You could withstand normal shots of a rifle, stuff like that. You could now withstand certain magic. So, like, if there's a magical bow, obviously it'll pierce the soldier and he'll die. Magic was mainly the armor was against the normal arrow, sword. Like, if they encounter tribes or kingdoms who use swords, and they're not magic users, and they try to attack the emperor's soldier with a sword, or arrow lands at them, nothing. You'll just bounce off. The sword will just bounce off, and the soldier will just shoot the guy. That's what it was mainly for, to save casualties there. The emperor is planning on creating soldiers who have armor that can withstand 99% of the magic. He has not done that yet. He is planning on doing that later on, after he conquers at least 6 continents. He is in the process of making that. It's very hard, because you have to he's trying to find almost every type of magic, and then find the resistance to it, and then put that on armor, so the armor would resist against magic. And he's creating a better type of armor for his soldiers. He hasn't put it in the system yet, but they're like, by the time they conquer the 6th continent, they're like, I'd say 90% of the way there, but they haven't put it through the system yet. So, a lot of talking, sorry, but it's a story. So, and I'll show you all the characters and everything in a second. I'm just giving you the background. And where was I? They conquered the 4th continent. That's when they were given the name. That's when people were saying on the streets that they kind of like the Emperor of Light, because they bring light to the world. They bring happiness. I know it makes no sense, but Oh, it does make sense. They bring order, they bring schools, education, they bring jobs, they bring better living because they used to live in dirt um huts, like dirt, peasants, Now they live in apartment complexes, houses if they can afford to. It's kind of like democratic empire. Like there's an emperor, but all the empire citizens of the empire have certain rules that even the emperor cannot break. You know how America has rules like when we hold these truths to be self-evident. The right of life and stuff like that. And court, there are courts in the empire. If you did something, you go to court. You don't just get executed, or it's not like ancient empires where if you steal, they cut off your hand. No, it's not like that. If you steal, you pay double back. It's like that. Or if you own somebody money, you work for them, but you're not a slave, but you work for them, and they have to treat you very well. They have to provide you with a house and feed you while you work for them. And once you pay off your work, then you go and but there's no slaves in the empire. Slavery is abolished. If you do practice slavery in the empire, punishment is death. If you murder, punishment is death. But obviously, you have to have 3 witnesses or more. I can go through all the laws in the empire later on if you guys want me to. But yeah, empire brings rule, it brings schools, jobs, it brings better living, much better living. People who, most of them used to be peasants. 90% of all these continents that they conquer, 90% of the people there used to be peasants working for these magic users who controlled them. And the magic users are basically like nobles, and they live in castles and things like that. Now all these people, 90%, 95% of them on all these continents, now they live like people in America now. They have, apartment complexes, they have job size, they have kind of malls, not malls, but it's like, kind of like a city of Atlantis. That's how it's like medieval, but advanced medieval. It's like medieval, it used to be medieval times, but now like fantasy medieval advanced empire, like Atlantis, where Atlantis supposedly had technology that was super. That's what basically this empire is bringing to each and every continent, bringing education. You get the idea. I already said it. And I'll show you the emperor. I'll show you his closest, his court, his generals, and things like that in a second. I'm setting up the invasion part 1. This episode is going to be called, well, you'll see what it's going to be called, but this is going to be the invasion of the 6th continent. So let's get to it. Sorry about this. So after they conquered the 4th continent, Emperor heard from his generals and from his captains and stuff like that people are calling his empire of light because he brings light to their life. And so he officially, and also because they have angels now, they call them angels. And so the people in the empire called these guys, who I call angels, but I don't know, what did they call these guys? People in the empire called them angels, but they were called by the emperor first. Before they were called angels, they were called they were called the protectors of the realm. There you go. They were called the protectors of the realm. That's what they were called. And people started to call them angels because, they would come and they were very powerful with wings, and they would fly down from the sky, and you get the idea. So they would be called angels, and mainly to reduce casualties after angels were created in the after they conquered the 3rd continent. It was mainly angels doing battle, and then soldiers coming and garrisoning and stuff, and bringing the law and all that to the kingdoms and uniting the kingdoms. But mainly angels fought. That way the casualties of the empire would be very low. And emperor is very concerned about every death of a soldier. In fact, he has in his personal ship. It's the flagship of the Empire, obviously. A lot of talking. In his personal ship, there's a whole level, his ship is huge. There's a whole level where he puts the dead, the soldiers, and it's like coffins, special coffins, and these special coffins. Let me see it, Cooper. Let me see it. These special coffins are all laid out, each and every one right next to each other, and Emperor goes there every night and to see all the dead and pay his respects, but to see also what he has done. He has killed this many men and these many men, so, well, it's not he has killed, but because of him, all these men are dead, and the Emperor keeps winning his head. So it's a long story. I can tell you later on about the Emperor's mindset and stuff like that. So, but the Emperor really cares about the casualties and the men. Like, he tries to save as many men as possible. So, so after the Fourth Continent, they were known as the Empire of Light. They renamed themselves basically, and they renamed the protectors of the realm as angels. There's also going to be archangels, which the Emperor created after conquering the Fourth Continent. Nobody ever seen archangels being used in battle because they didn't have to. Angels are just so strong. I'll show you archangels. They're going to use them on the Seventh Continent. They might use them actually on the super advanced city, which I haven't given a name yet, but I can give them a name maybe later on, not right now, but so they conquered the Fifth Continent, and it was same thing, 95% just peasants, controlled by 5% magic users, and they conquered it pretty fast. And but they didn't know about the Fifth Continent until they conquered the Fourth Continent. That's when they explored and found out there's a Fifth Continent. They conquered it, and once they conquered the Fifth Continent, they found a map that said there was a Sixth Continent because it was near the Fifth Continent. And so that's where we at. That's where the Empire sends 4 ships. They called expeditionary ships, with many soldiers and hundreds of angels. 4 ships to go, and we'll see how big of a threat is on the Sixth Continent. So 4 ships go to the Sixth Continent and to explore it, but to also, if they can, conquer some land. But mainly to explore, and if there's not a big threat, their job is to conquer whatever they can. So here are the 4 ships. And we can give them names later on if you guys want to. I gotta switch. How do I switch camera view? I don't even know. But here they are right there. There's gotta be a